Wow, that was a lovely start, and we loved Christine dancing. Hi, everyone. This is Nidhi from Designhill, your host for today. I hope you and your family are keeping well and safe, taking all the precautions, and taking care of your near and dear ones. Welcome again to yet another event by Designhill, and today we are discussing all about video content and how you can use it to up your social media game for your business. This event is brought to you by Designhill, world's leading creative marketplace that caters to the creative needs of businesses and individuals alike who can source high quality designs from professional designers. Through its print on demand marketplace called Print Shop by Designhill, you can also buy 50 plus unique products with thousands of artworks created by a world class community of independent artists. So, moving ahead, let me introduce our panel of experts for today. We have with us Christine Ritmon. Christine is the owner and social media strategist at Christine Ritmon INC. She teaches growth-minded small business owners and solopreneurs to tell their brand stories online in efficient, effective ways that value their time, energy, and money. Christine, please say hi to the audiences.
Hi to the audience. Thanks so much for introducing me. I'm going to actually put a little call to action up there so that everyone can reach out and connect.
Thank you so much, Christine. Up next, we have George B. Thomas. George is an inbound marketer, a video JD, and HubSpot trainer at Impulse Creative with more than 25 years of sales and marketing experience. He utilizes his expertise in graphic design, web development, video editing, social media marketing, and inbound marketing to partner, teach, and develop solutions for companies looking to grow their businesses and increase their revenue. A teacher and motivator at heart, George's true passion is helping others to be inspired, educated, and willing to work hard in order to achieve unlimited success. How noble is that? George, please say hi.
Howdy, everybody. Make sure you're hitting the chat pane. Ask those questions. It is your event. Let's make it engaging and add value to your life today.
Absolutely. Next, we have Judy Fox. Judy has generated over 5 million views on LinkedIn in the last 2 years and is featured in INC Magazine, CEO Magazine, Witch Summit, Video Marketing World, People of Video, Top 100 Marketing podcasts, and more. With over 18 years of experience in business development and sales, Judy developed the LinkedIn Business Accelerator Method. Clients are implementing this LinkedIn method to achieve more business and over 1 million content views in 90 days with press features in Forbes, BBC News, and Thrive Global. Oh my God. Judy, I'm floored. Please say hi to the audiences.
That is the power of video. So welcome, everybody. I'm so excited you're here. We're going to have an amazing time.
Absolutely. Really excited. Last but not the least, we have Tyler Lizard. Tyler is a marketing, product, and business development professional with over 15 years of experience in B2B marketing, sales enablement, content marketing, brand and video, and is passionate about customer-centric problem solving, creative storytelling, and data-driven marketing. Currently, Tyler is VP Marketing at Vidyard, host of the Creating Connections show, author of The Visual Sale, and a video creator. Tyler.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for the introduction. So excited to be here. I come from this world of video and business and can't wait to apply that lens to it. I'll drop my LinkedIn link in the chat because that's really where I live. All right, let's get this going, folks.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking out time from your schedule and joining us today for this panel discussion. It's an honor and pleasure to have you here with us. Great. Before we start the session, I have a couple of announcements to make to get the session going. We are giving away certificates to the attendees who would stick till the end of the session. So you just cannot miss on this chance. So please stay tuned till the end. Also, please do take the screenshot of this event, post it on your Twitter handles, and tag DesignhillDH and our panelists' Twitter handle as well, which my colleague Rashmi will be sharing over the chat box, all the social handles of our panelists today. Use the hashtag Designhill events and you could be a lucky winner to win a print shop gift card worth $50. Also, we have a couple of offers for you. Please keep an eye on the chat section. And now let's quickly look at what Designhill is all about before we jump onto the questions part.
Need to get your parents off your back? Head to the world's #1 creative marketplace, Designhill.
When I started my photography business, I needed something that said, this was more than just a hobby. It's not a hobby, Mom. That's why I went to Designhill and got an amazing logo, super fast, at a price I could afford. The process was easy using Designhill's logo maker. Just enter the name of your business, then pick out a number of designs that inspire you. I'll pick this one and that one looks cute. Then pick your colors or let the system decide. Add some more info like a slogan, the industry your business is in, and your budget. The logo maker, using machine learning and artificial intelligence, will design thousands of logo variants that you can choose from and adapt. In fact, I was able to get everything from business cards to t-shirt design and complete social media kit, all with the click of a button. With that, I'm all set. Now everyone I meet knows I'm a legit photographer. Even my mom. It's real. That's decaf.
Let the world know it's real and build your brand with Designhill.
All right, guys, it's time to jump onto the questions. And to the attendees, please do ask your questions in the questions tab so we can take them live time and again during the event. So my first question will be for George. And in fact, to everyone, I will take it to other panelists as well. But let's start with George. George, with almost all brands resorting to video content to enhance their social presence these days, what would be your tips to curate content that stands out? Because every business, tends to, because video has become so popular that every business is trying their hands on it. So how does a business stand out?
Yeah, definitely. And thanks for having me go first. That's weird. I wasn't quite ready for that. But here's the thing. There has to be a mind shift in the way that people are actually going at social media in general. And this is video, this is textual, this is audio, whatever. A lot of companies are really focused on promotion when they should be focused on problem. And what I mean by that is the problem that the user has. What are you fixing? How can you add value to their life, right? So number one is make sure that you're focusing on the problem first. The other thing is that a lot of companies are focused on what they're going to say or how they're going to say it versus the actual strategy behind what they're going to say and how they're going to say it. So you got to focus on problem. You got to focus on strategy. And I would say that that's 70 to 80% of your time. And then the rest is actually creating the content and delivering it out into the world.
Right. Thank you so much, George. And next would be, Christine, I'm going to ask you a question in a different way. So how does this process change for a small business? Like, George actually reflected upon a lot of good insights, but how is it different for a business which is just starting out? I mean, I'm sure that, there is a difference between when a business which is starting out and wants to actually break into videos as a social marketing tool as compared to someone who's already established. So how would you, your take on that?
I feel like when people are first getting started, and especially if they're a super small business, they let a lot of this stuff get mentally in their way. Like, I don't have the tech, I don't have a good camera, I don't have, fancy lighting. And the thing is, not only social media, but also smartphones, it's really the great equalizer. All you need is a smartphone. In fact, you don't even need a smartphone. If your computer has a webcam built in, that is really all you need. All you need is something that's a camera and access to the internet. That is truly all you need. And in fact, even people who have, home studios with the lighting and the good cameras, all of that, even with all of that, plenty of people I know who do that, myself included, still hop on with a super intimate, like, smartphone video, not intimate, like, but, I'll hop on Instagram and do a little story that's just me handheld on the phone, no makeup on, because I feel like people really relate to the intimacy of that and the unpolished nature of that. And I always tell small business clients, your smallness is your superpower. The fact that you're no thrills is something to embrace because it means that you are unfiltered. It means that you're real. You're giving people a real person to feel like they're connecting with. So don't let any of that stuff get in your way. Literally all you need is something that can capture video and a way to get it out there and something to say. But that's truly all you need. Don't let all that stuff get in your way in your head.
Can I add 2 things to that? Are we allowed to do that on this panel? Because here's the thing, when you're first getting started, there's 2 things that I want to tell you from a psychological standpoint. I need you to punch him in the face. Number 1 is fear. Like, get over it. Nobody cares about your ears, your eyes, your nose, your weight, your hair. Like, just get in front of the camera, punch fear in the face, and go for it. And the other one is, because you're not the big boy yet, because you're just getting started out, I need you to punch imposter syndrome in the face and realize that you were built for the tribe that will follow you in the future.
Oh, that is so true. And everyone hates the way they sound, by the way. Everyone knows what's weird about the way they look on camera. Everyone hates the sound of their voice recorded because it's different from what we hear in our heads. Punch it in the face. You're so right, George. And when you first start, not that many people are watching. It's a great time to make those mistakes and just put it out there as you build your audience.
Okay, I feel like we're popcorning. But I just want to add, the quote, people will forget what you said, they'll forget what you did, but they'll remember how you made them feel, by Maya Angelou. That's what I tell every client. Yes, we care about the videos we make, but honestly, people are going to forget. They're not going to remember everything you said in the video, but they're going to remember the energy and what you brought to how they felt about you being on video.
Thanks, Judy. Lastly, Tyler, I'm sure you have a lot to add to that.
I mean, so much has been said that I'm not sure how much more I can add, because I agree across the board. And I'll just pick up on, sort of as Judy was speaking, this importance of this new way of building your brand, right? Like, this is so important right now for your business, for you personally, for your executives, for whomever it is. But putting yourself out there on social media in video becomes this opportunity to become a real person, to, again, put your energy out there, to add a personality to who it is you are and what it is you do, and to make people genuinely remember that, and to be able to associate with you and relate to you as real people trying to solve real problems, and trusted advisors and wonderful, helpful humans. Thank you, George. So it's, I think that's a big play for us. And we often get caught up in our heads of, oh, well, video on social, we've got these really specific, it's like, I'm trying to get followers, I'm trying to do this. To me, this is how we build our brands today. This is how we build our communities. This is how we engage them. And a part of that is the content we create, the messaging, and the consistency of that we're showing up, that we're there, that we're front and center, that people are seeing us, they're hearing us. And again, as was said, not every video has to be perfect. Not everyone has to be hyper produced. It's about being there, showing up, and delivering value.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I'm sure the business community of Designhill, which is largely early age entrepreneurs, are taking notes, the notes of the insights which are being shared by our panelists right now. Moving ahead with the next question. So we all know how incredible is the reach of video content today. And if you really hit the spot and deliver what the audience wants to see, you could become viral overnight. This was also one of the questions by one of our registrants, that is viral marketing still relevant in creating a video marketing strategy? I mean, is it something that businesses should strive to do? I mean, becoming viral overnight. And if yes, what goes into researching what your user, possible customer, wants to see? Christine, we'll start with you.
Oh, me? I thought you were going to start with Taylor. I mean, I think that while what your audience wants to see is certainly very important, I think that you're always going to shine best when you start with what you want to say and what you want to make happen, and start with why, as they say, because again, that you put that out, and the people it resonates with are going to resonate with it. Don't worry so much about the numbers. Data matters, right? Like, if something's working, you certainly want to do more of that. If something's not working, you want to do less of that. But I think that what you're trying to do matters more always. And just keep on plugging away at that, and the right people will find it if you keep putting it out there.
Thank you so much, Christine. Judy, I would like you to throw some light on the virality aspect of it. So should businesses thrive to become viral overnight? I mean, is it a good strategy to be considered, especially by small startups? I mean, what is your take on that, the virality aspect of it?
So I like deleting the word viral and making yourself highly shareable. So when you make content and video that people feel they can attach that share button to me, that's one of the highest social capital things that somebody can take across all the buttons you get at the bottom. When people hit that share button, they literally want to tell their friends and family what they just saw, what they just watched. It goes beyond a like, it goes beyond a comment. So instead of thinking from a, hey, let's make this go viral, hey, let's make this really, really shareable. How can we make people feel seen and heard and a part of the story that you're about to create in your video? And that, I think, is where the magic is. And then you'll just go viral. So I'm just kidding.
Yeah, if it's all right, I'd like to add to this one too.
Add to it.
You might hear me say that quite a bit on this panel, but here's the thing. This whole conversation around virality is a symptom of a bigger problem in the world today. And that is everybody walks around wanting instant gratification. And they don't realize the only way that you can build a building is one brick at a time. So instead of going viral, go value, right? And build a video, 20 videos, 50 videos, 100 videos. Like, why do we see people blowing up like Mr. Beast, Sean Cannell, Judy Fox, whoever, right? Whoever we want to say, it's because they consistently show up and add value one brick at a time. And then that's, oh, look at that overnight success. No, look at that long-term hustle. So stop with the, I need immediate gratification, and realize anybody who is anybody, Jim Rohn, right? Like anybody that you think of in history, it's because they added one brick of value every day. They got 1% better. Focus on that. Like social is the only place that the word viral is acceptable. I don't want anything viral.
Absolutely. So it's value, not virality, that businesses should be focusing on. Tyler, any thoughts on that?
Well, George stole the V of video is value and not virality, which I think is really, really important. But what I will add is always start with who your audience is and what you're trying to achieve here, right? Like if your business is getting advertising revenue off of YouTube, then sure, like creating stuff that's meant to go viral, like that's your business. But I suspect most of you, that's not your business, right? So if you're a YouTuber, a professional YouTuber, the way you approach social video is very different from if you're running a business trying to add value and build a community via social channels and to build your brand and to use it as a way to engage broader audiences and create shareable moments that attract in people that you're trying to attract. And I think that is just so important that everybody's social strategy and social video strategy, it differs because what you're using it for matters. And here at Vidyard, right, we're not putting out videos with the intent to go viral with everybody out there in the world. Are we trying to go viral? Well, we're trying to be shareable amongst our community of interest, which for us are sales professionals and marketing professionals who care about, in our case, using video to achieve better results. So that's always the foundation of what we're creating. And again, I love going back to that. We think in the same way, Judy, of how can we make this not only valuable, but something that's shareable. And that comes from sort of respecting the audience and thinking through what do they care about most and what would make them share it with somebody else. Because I don't care if my audience shares it with their friend or their relative. What I care is they're going to share it with peers in their network that are part of the business community that we serve. So focus on the audience and focus on your goals, which is probably not about going viral and making ad revenue.
Right. I absolutely agree. Even though I only had one question related to virality, but it was important that people actually understood the value of value versus virality and actually start thinking on those lines. Moving ahead with the next question, it's a straightaway question and the most asked question as well in the list of registrants. So, what kind of video content works the best? I mean, it's as simple as that. And let's start with you, Judy.
Well, it's the video content where you can hear my voice because I get off mute. The video content that does the best is the content where we can feel your energy and we can feel there's an emotion. People buy on emotion and then they justify with facts. And when I say buy, that doesn't mean money exchanged.
Right.
They buy into your video, they buy into your brand, they buy into your mission, they buy into you as a person. That's what I mean. It's not always money exchanged from a video, but literally I'm going to watch this person's video every single day when they make one because they buy into the first one. You brought the power, you brought the fox, you brought the energy, the emotion, and that's why people need to feel something from your video.
Right. So why I asked this question is also because, at Designhill, we have been doing these virtual events from past 8 months. And it took us almost 6 or 7 months to zero down to understand what kind of format worked the best for us. So for example, panel discussion like this worked the best for us. And, not AMAs, but workshops work best for us, comparatively. So on those lines, is there any advice you would want to give to the audiences and the businesses that how to zero down on the kind of format of video that works best for your business? Tyler.
Yeah, I've got a strong opinion on this one, and the thing that you always want to start with is also an understanding of the various social channels you're using are all different, right? So there is not necessarily one format for a social video to rule them all, nor is there one channel. And sometimes people will get caught in that trap of saying, all right, I'm making a social video, and so it's going to fit into this bucket and it's going to look like this. And then they spread it across different networks without being mindful of, well, what are people actually expecting? What would they lean into? What are they looking for in these different places? So we always think about that, where for our business, our most important channels are LinkedIn, because we're still serving a business audience, for social content that's meant to engage and educate our community of business users. Facebook is an important social channel for us, but more so from a company culture, brand, and recruitment perspective. Instagram and actually TikTok are increasing in importance for us as we're finding younger demographics that are being attracted to our products, and they're engaging in different ways there. And our formula for what works on each channel is totally different. And so it can be, again, intimidating for some folks to think, well, now do I have to create 4 different videos for those different channels? The answer might be yes, or the answer may be you can approach it in a smart way and say there's one key theme I want to nail here, and we're going to sort of create content that we can repurpose across those, or just manifest it in different way on those different networks. But there is no one format to rule them all. Start with the audience, then think about the channel, and then put yourself in their shoes and say, what would they value here and what would get their attention to lean in?
So I totally agree. I totally agree with what Tyler's saying. But I would implore everybody watching this now and in the future to actually take a step back and ask yourself, where does social fit in my funnel or my flywheel? And then ask the question again of which video format is best, because the answer is depends. And this is where I lay back into strategy. Do you know your funnel or flywheel? Do you know the problem and that person? Are they in the awareness stage, the consideration stage, the decision stage? Like, what stage of your sales and marketing funnel are they? Because there's going to be different types of content that resonate better throughout the funnel. Like a long form webinar is going to make more sense when they're trying to make a purchase decision and they don't want to make a mistake. But a nice social little piece of like 30-second TikTok dance or whatever being crazy, like that's great awareness content to get them into your funnel. I hope nobody was recording that. There's going to be some weird jiffy out on the internet now, but that's my thing. Take a step back. Think about strategy, think about your funnel or flywheel and how different video types actually help solve the problem that those people are facing along that journey, or the buyer's journey, if you will.
That is spoken like a HubSpotter, George. that was actually when I spoke at Inbound in 2018. It was about using video at different stages of the funnel. It's true.
No, absolutely. Some really, really good insights. And I'm gonna watch the recording of this video myself over and over again, because I'm a lot into videos these days. I'm trying to make sense a lot of video formats for my business, for my organization as well. So thank you so much for throwing light on such important aspects of video marketing. It was actually one of my questions as well, where people ask that there are so many online platforms, video basically, where video is getting so much attention, like FB, Insta, YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok. How to choose the right platform for your business, and is it okay to be everywhere? How does the strategy change with each platform? So, and you almost touched upon, Tyler and George almost touched upon all the important pointers. If Judy and Christine has anything to add to that, please go ahead, or we move on to the next question.
Well, I would say a lot of it depends on how you connect to your audience. For example, I mean, for me, making people feel like they know me directly is a huge part of my personal brand. It's a huge part of my community. It's almost less about my expertise and more about just kind of like, the way I make them feel. So for me, the less polished stuff is what really does it. It's live video, or it's like a quick random Instagram story. I do some edited videos. I don't do a lot of it. And I mean, perhaps my heart isn't in it, but the fact is, like, those don't do nearly as well. People love feeling like I'm talking to them. So that's a huge part of my brand and what I do. If people are following you for a different reason, if people are really following you because they love getting those tips, if there's a different draw there, then you have to, you should be making videos that really play to that draw. Why are people following you? What do they expect to see? How do they connect to you? What do they connect to? And make video that serves that. And they will tell you. It'll be very clear. Analytics aren't everything, but it'll be clear in your analytics what people are and are not responding to. And you'll also feel what works for you, what feels right.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Christine. Judy, anything you have to add to that?
I just want to mention that people trust when people hear the word consistent. It goes beyond just what day and time you upload. So that goes back to, she has a consistent brand, vibe, feel, message. Just be consistent in yourself and your leadership and how you show up. So one of the things that I consistently do is I like having fun. So I'm going to mix media. So for example, I'll edit in a random Snapchat filter message in the middle of a video that makes absolutely no sense. And it's some weird squished face of myself. And it's like, are you taking this message seriously? So there's all kinds of things you can do to mix the medium so you don't feel like, oh, that only belonged on Snapchat. That only belonged on Instagram. You can find ways to realize you can pop in pieces from other medium and come across all social media.
Every conference I present at now, my PowerPoint has GIFs in it.
Yeah.
Because that's me.
Amazing. Awesome. So we have a few questions here. Let's take, before we break for the mid-roll. Francisco here has actually touched upon a very important aspect, which is user-generated content. He says, how do we get our older members? He says that his members are mostly older farmers and ranchers, not to be camera shy and tell their story. We want to tell their story and bridge the gap between food producers and consumers. And I already saw George raising his hand.
Yeah, I'll take this one for a couple reasons. One, I grew up in Montana. Two, my father is actually a rancher. So I understand the persona that you're trying to go with here. They are not tech savvy. Woo! Are they not tech savvy? I mean, come on. So here's the thing. They're not used to being in front of camera. So for you, what I would suggest is that we do an interview, because then you're there to help them along the way. And they can feed off your energy. You can feed off theirs. The other side of this too, that I want you to actually think about is, can you not necessarily do a video with them, but use their voice? So could they actually be the talk track, right? So you're recording the audio and you're showing other things. So now they're not necessarily worried about being on video. They're just worried about giving you a great audio experience, which that generation talkers, Talkers, they like to talk. I'm just going to throw that out there. So they'll talk your ear off, and then you can take the clips, the bits that you get out of that, and actually use it for the talk track of your video. So again, interviews or using just their audio of a real person to really kind of hone that in are two great ways that you might be able to do that.
Usually,
if you do go to film them, don't bring a production crew with lights and drones and because that exactly is going to be like, this isn't my world. And so, have the smartphone with a nice little selfie stick and maybe a bit of a gimbal so you can get steady footage, or have somebody who's, with you, but make it as unintimidating. Is that the right word? As not intimidating as possible. For them to, allow them to be real, because that's the most important thing when you get them. And to George, to your point, even just letting them talk, the most important thing as they come across real. And, so all the things you can do to make that happen and make it feel less fabricated is really, really important.
Absolutely. To make them not fidgety about, what they're saying, how they are looking. I think it's really the key. So Francisco, I hope you got your answer. And let's take one more question before we get to the mid-roll. Okay. This one, Laura is asking how to get a certificate for the session. Laura, you will get the certificate if you stick till the end. That is, you attend the entire session. So, Alabia asks, people these days mostly focus on videos that contain good thumbnail and quality. How to stand out and compete with a pro? So I think he or she has insisted upon the professional quality. I mean, there are professional people who do videos, and there are early age startups, like Christine said. She said that you can simply start with anything that is camera. So who would like to answer this question? Christine, you want to answer this question?
Sorry, I was busy looking around. Can you rephrase that again?
All right.
So distracting.
Okay. So Alabia is asking that, people these days mostly focus on videos quality that contain good thumbnail. The video quality is really nice. How to stand out and compete with a pro?
With content. Just people care about what's happened, the information that they get more than they care about the quality. I've been live streaming for years, and yesterday I had a live stream where the guest I was interviewing, her video was choppy for 75% of the video. It looked like, just this pixelated blob. But people loved our live stream because they could hear what she was saying. They were getting value from her tips. Nobody cared that the video was choppy. Everyone understands that, internet happens. Then nobody cared. Everyone said that was, a great show. And it was because the information that was flowing was great. The conversation flowed really well. Everyone got serious gold nuggets in there. So really what matters is what people get out of it, ultimately. And if you can do that, you don't need to go crazy with tech. Tech is great. Tech looks beautiful. But the fact is, the message that people get, the value that they get from the broadcast or from the video matters so much more than any of how it's packaged.
I want to lean into this one. Go figure. Because I think the question also is about thumbnails and the quality of thumbnails and being able to get the click through to your video anyway. Like, I think that's where they were trying to lean into on this question. One, on Facebook, there's a private Facebook group called Master Thumbnails that you can go join. I am not a leader of it. I just go to it. People are willing to give their feedback on what your thumbnail looks like and how you might tweak it. So that's a little value add. Also realize if you're not a designer, then look at something like Canva or some other program that you can actually, it helps you lay out the design and get a good, clean look. Or you can hire somebody to do your thumbnails. But again, you're talking about good thumbnails, it goes back to strategy. Like, what does your audience want to see? What's going to tease them out? Like, think about it as like the ultimate tease, CTA, click-through, storefront, whatever metaphor you want to use to get them into your video. So again, if you're not design savvy, use Canva or something else. Last thing I'll add in there, if you really want to hone in on this conversation, Nick Nimmin is amazing. If you're a mobile creator, his brother D Nimmin, both of those guys, you can go and get a ton of information on thumbnails and YouTube and click-throughs and all that good stuff. Oh, Brian G. Johnson, I'll throw that one out there, right? So mastering thumbnails, Nick Nimmin, D Nimmin, Brian G. Johnson, there you go. Go learn.
I was going to add as well. I was going to do one of the yes but ands, where just emphasizing that some of these little post-production things that you can do aren't always necessary, right? Absolutely, like just get the content out there and be where you are. But some of the little things that you can do are easier than most people actually think. So to George's point, to create great thumbnails, you can do it. Like, go watch a YouTube video, join those groups, you can do it. Little tips like adding a little bit of music behind. If it's a longer video where you're interviewing ranchers, a little bit of music in the background goes a long way to keep the momentum, make it feel engaging. And there's, free or very low cost licensing sites out there. A little, standard template at the end to wrap up your video. There's all these little things that you can do that once you learn how to do it, it's not that hard. And they can add a little bit of polish to your videos. They don't always need it, right? Filters, right? Learn them. This stuff's important for the future, but anybody can do it once you dig into it.
One last thing before you go to mid-roll, because I know that's where you're going next. Hit that poll tab, people. They're asking, is everybody enjoying this session? I want all yes a lot. Hit yes a lot. We're enjoying this session. All of the people, go to the poll right now while they run the mid-roll.
Thank you so much for saying that. It was actually our job, and thank you so much, George, for that energy. All right, so we are now breaking for the mid-roll. I hope you guys are enjoying the session. Before we move forward, I would like to give a quick shout out to Designhill for organizing this event. Stay tuned and we'll be right back to hear more from our panelists.
I've always been creative and always been an artist. As a young girl, I used to paint rocks and I used to sell them for $0.25 on the street. And I just fell in love with it. It just grew into a passion of mine. I started looking on the web and I came across Designhill, and they had a design contest to design a logo, and I entered it and I won. And I was like, oh, this is really great. I can pick and choose what type of logos or design projects I want to work on. And it allows me to be creative, keep my hands, with my tools and working. So it's kind of nice. It's really easy to use. You can scroll through the projects and there's sections that you could go by. It's really easy. There's a few clients who have come back to use the one-on-one projects. There's one client in particular, she owns a vintage shop, and I designed her logo, and she came back. She needed a design for a flyer, and she really liked the illustrations that I did for her, so she came back a couple of times with projects. I would recommend it, especially if you're a designer that's starting out and you want to learn from other designers, seasoned designers. It's a place to keep in the game and keep using your tools. It makes me feel great, and it kind of confirms that I should be doing this. And I love to see logos that I've designed out, and proud of that. And I think that the clients are so happy that their logo represents what they do and makes them look good. It's a collaboration. It's good for me, and it's definitely good for them.
All right, we are back again. Let's continue with the session. To all the attendees, please do ask your questions in the questions tab and not in chat. They can get lost there. All right. So Judy, we're gonna start with you this particular question, which is about the distribution mechanism of online video content. And while I was doing my research for this panel discussion, I came across this word called PISO model. Which is paid, earned, shared, and owned media of promoting and distributing the online video content. So I realized that each one of these paid, earned, shared, and owned media can be an independent way of promoting and distributing the online content. We would like to know how to intertwine each one of these to get the maximum impact. Judy.
So I'm not sure if I am so focused in on LinkedIn that my clients, I'm not really, I have made myself a LinkedIn business accelerator. And yes, you can take content that I create for my clients and put it out on other channels, but I'm probably not the expert at all the different, like how to move my content everywhere. I move it for myself, but I don't move it for a lot of my clients. So maybe popcorn it to somebody else.
Yes, we're gonna get back to you, Judy, when we talk specifically about LinkedIn. But for now, can we start with you, Tyler?
Yeah, I think it's definitely important to understand those differences of how videos and content in general can be distributed across these networks. Most of us tend to focus on the majority of our content being are shared and owned, so shared across social sites, owned, which is posting these videos on some of our owned properties as a way to drive people back to engage on our own digital channels. And then, of course, paid becomes a part of it. But what we typically find is the content people are creating as shared and owned content that are going out on their channels tend to be that more organic content that's consistent, it's very different from what they're doing with paid media content on these channels. And the paid media content, the big difference, of course, is your shared and owned content is going to be going largely to your existing community of influence. And you want to focus on who are these people? They're likely folks that are exposed to me, my brand, and they want to have this continuing dialogue with me. The paid media, right? That's all about interruption, right? You're largely focusing there on people who aren't yet a part of your community. You're interrupting their day in different ways. And so there you very much need to focus on a different style of content that is quicker, catchier, right? In all cases, those first 3 to 5 seconds make a big difference, but especially for any of your paid media. And it will end up having a bit of a different feel because you're trying to drive them to a call to action. So understanding those different distribution strategies and then what kind of content is going to go with each is absolutely important.
So I want to add a little tiny micro piece because when I saw this question, I was like, I don't want this question. Like, I don't want to answer this question because I really focus on organic, right? I'm creating content so it can be organically found and I'm sharing it on social, but I'm really trying to get people back to YouTube or back to my website. However, the short micro little piece where Tyler talked about paid most of the times is interruptive. If you want to learn a different way to do paid media, you have to check out Dennis Yu from Blitz Metrics. He has a strategy of like this grid of paid videos on social platforms. It's like freaking ninja skills, people. So make sure you check out Dennis Yu if you want to lean into that direction.
I want to point out one thing one element of this peso concept that we haven't talked as much about, which is earned. So when I think of earned media, I think of press coverage. But here's the thing, it can also apply to things like this. It can apply to when we guest on someone's show. It can apply to when we collaborate with somebody. I would consider that all part of that equation. And I think that, for me personally, if it's paid, I'm getting to the point. If it's paid, I'm aiming to get my message out. If it's shared or owned, I'm aiming to connect. And I'm aiming to really kind of build that relationship. If it is something that, again, if we include guest appearances and presentations and things like that under earned and not just press, what I'm trying to get with earned is that's really branding. That really, for me, is giving people an impression of who I am and what I'm about, which is somewhere in between what I do with paid, which is getting a message out, and my other stuff, which is about connecting. For me, when it's something that's in between, when it's something where I'm being exposed to someone else's audience via their goodwill, I'm focused more on how do I get a message across, but get the message across of me. So that's kind of how I come at each of those a little bit differently.
Thank you so much, Christine. Circling back to Judy, we would like to specifically know how does it happen on LinkedIn specifically, since you are an expert in that, the promotion and the distribution part of it.
So when it comes to paid, I don't necessarily do paid on LinkedIn. I focus on organic. I will give a shout out to AJ Wilcox for being paid expert on LinkedIn. Love him. And then when it comes to organic, or when I see paid, whenever I look at brands that are trying to do their promoted posts on LinkedIn, that's what they literally say underneath their phrase. I ask myself, if you have 5,000 employees, because I literally just saw a post with 5,000 employees, could you rally 10 of them to make a comment underneath that post? Because I noticed that those promoted pieces can get a lot of likes, but I think brands are sleeping on merging an element of organic with paid. There's just one, I think it's a tiny piece where you could just get a few people. I mean, if you have a 5,000 employee company, there's got to be somebody who naturally would want to comment on that promoted post. So
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, I upvote AJ Wilcox, by the way. That's an upvote right here. Throw that up.
All right, so moving ahead with the next question. So we all know that 2020 has been a classic year where we had raving figures on how video content consumption exploded like anything, and for the reasons we all know, the pandemic. What I wanted to ask was, has there been any changes in people's choices? Have they become more picky about the content they consume now, like the video content that they consume now? Is there any shift in people's mindset? Because there's too much to consume, right?
Well, I mean,
would
one of the
say-
things that's been happening, Christine, I'm going to pass it to you in like 30 seconds. I'm going to get this one out. Hey, I'm going to get this one out there of like pandemic or not, right? There's been this trend towards everybody talks about like the goldfish, that we have low attention spans, that we can't stay tuned, which is we all know is baloney. Which the real problem is people have low tolerance for content that isn't relevant, that isn't valuable, that isn't timely, that isn't interesting, because we have an infinite access of pool of information to consume. So, you know, pandemic or not, you do need to be able to stand out with your audience. And that's the difficulty with thinking with a virality mindset, because it's all about who you're focusing on. So again, I think people are becoming more and more discerning because there's more content out there, and they have low tolerance for things that aren't relevant or valuable. Christine, what do you think?
Christine, yeah.
I think it has been a journey because at the beginning of all of this, I feel like people consumed more video because they were online all the time and it was their only connection to humans. Then I feel like everyone was on Zoom meetings all the time. I mean, this is just what I'm hearing. People who weren't already like swimming in this sea of video, suddenly they were, you know, dealing with video screens all the time when they hadn't been before on Zoom. And there was a huge fatigue that came with that. So then I heard people starting to say, look, I am in front of my screen all day long watching these, you know, talking heads. I'm not consuming video in my downtime. No, I'm getting off the damn computer. So there was kind of a dip there. But also with the rise of everyone being on Zoom meetings and stuff, people became comfortable on camera to a degree they weren't before. So new voices started emerging, new people started doing video, and I feel like it's ramping back up. Not only there is a glut of content, it is true, but I feel like more of those new voices are starting to get heard. People have accepted their fate of, you know, they're going to be watching video all the time. It's just how the world is right now. So I feel like it's ramping back up, though I do agree with what Tyler said about how people are being more discerning, because before it was, oh, human connection, oh, it's a person, and we were kind of glomming onto that. Now we're kind of used to this a little bit more. So now we're like, okay, let me not, you know, this is the way, this isn't it is temporary, but it's not temporary the way it felt in March. So I think people are saying, okay, now that this is how it is, I'm not going to watch a video because it's there. But I'm realizing and opening my mind to the fact that more valuable ways, that video might be a more valuable way to spend my time than perhaps it was before all of this.
Right, absolutely. You actually put it the way I actually also feel in my head. George, hi George. So do you have anything to add to that? Do you have anything to add to that? I just thought that you really want to add to that because I saw you jumping somewhere in the middle.
I mean, so here's the thing. Again, I'm a simple guy, right? And I try to keep things simple. And at the end of the day, I can tell you for the last year and a half, any video that I have ever made, I have not focused on the fact that we are in a pandemic. That is not part of my strategy. It's not why I would start or stop anything. I do realize as a human being that we have gone through a global shift of what is important in our lives, right? We have gone from go, 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 go to not really going at all. And so what are we doing with that extra time? Many people are choosing to educate themselves. So if you just do the simple things like focus on the people, not the pandemic, and you focus on the education, not the erratic behaviors that are happening in the world, you're going to come out the other side as a winner.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's stick to the positive side only. Yes, absolutely. I agree to that as well. Judy, any thoughts on that before I move to the next question, please?
If I can unmute smoothly, let's move to the next question.
All right.
I think it's funny. I just will say now I'm like, hey, can we do an old-fashioned phone call? Because I don't always want to be on video. And I think that's okay. It is okay to not always want to be on video, everybody.
Absolutely. We are dying to talk. I mean, everyone has gotten so used to video calls. I mean, there are more phone calls than, regular phone call via a number. So I'm also really sick and tired of that now. So next is a very important question. I actually was researching a bit on it, but I couldn't complete my research. But I'm still going to ask this. They say that by 2022, online videos will make up for more than 82% of all the consumer internet traffic. And I'm actually reading a copied statement from one of the articles that I read this morning. 15 times for what it was in 2017. So does the upsurge in the video marketing on social media means the relevance of other content forms will decline? Tyler, I'm gonna ask this first because you're also a podcast host, and at Designhill we are trying our hands at podcast as well in the next couple of months. And what we have come to know is that there is not much difference between a consumer who is looking for information and resorts to a video or a podcast. Do you think there's something to worry about? Not worry, but do you think that someone who resorts to listening to a podcast versus someone who resorts to watching a video, what is your take on that? I mean, the other content forms, specifically podcast.
So I'll answer it more broadly, which is the simple answer is no. The importance of other forms of content is not reducing. However, the importance of using video, using multimedia content is increasing in importance because in today's world, people are engaging in different ways. They have different expectations from what they had 5, 10, 20 years ago when they are online. We are all digital natives now, right? And again, expectations of people are, hey, I can watch a video. As you said, a ton of video is now consumed online, and whether it's 60%, 80%, or 90% of the internet traffic doesn't matter. The point is, we all expect to be able to engage with video as a meaningful way to consume information, to learn, to laugh, to connect, right? But we also, many people love to listen to podcasts. Many people still love to download ebooks and white papers and read them. People like to skim blog posts, right? So we're now in a world where content means a lot of different things. And I think that's the biggest difference. And if you're thinking about a content strategy for your social channels, for your website, for your inbound strategy, whatever it is, a modern content strategy needs to encompass multiple forms of media, written, document-based, podcast, videos. And what's interesting about that is it now gives you different levers to engage different types of audiences and actually use new channels, right? I love running a podcast because it's a whole new channel for people to find, what we're talking about. And but how we use them is all very different, right? The content we create in podcasts is very different from the content we create for videos, which is very different from the content we create for written blogs.
Yeah. I got to jump in here. Christine, do you want to go first? You raised your hand.
Sure, just real quick. What you were saying, Tyler, kind of reminds me of how when social media emerged, people were like, okay, do I still need a website? You know, do I still need to do other sorts of marketing? Yes, you do. Social media just kind of needs to be in that mix now, but it doesn't mean you stop all your other marketing. Video is that way now too. Does video kind of have to be in the mix? In a lot of cases, yes, but it doesn't mean you stop all your other content. All right, go, man.
Yeah. So if the answer to this question was yes, they're going to depreciate, then Clubhouse right now would not be a thing that is absolutely exploding, which is an audio platform. Right. And again, I'm going to sound like a broken record because I've got to like strategy, right? So one of the things that we do at Impulse Creative for everybody that signs up for our educational content, which is Sprocket Talk, we do a poll and we ask them, what do you like or how do you like to learn? We literally have a dashboard with a graph of learning style. And I can sit here and tell you that 49% of our audience likes to consume video content and 17.65% likes audio content and 32.9% like written word. So here's the thing. When we started to learn that, what we realized is people need to get out of the mindset that these are desperate pieces of a strategy, but no, they could be brought in to be a whole body. We have legs, we have arms, we have eyes. We are one human being. It can be one piece of content. So if you go to most of our content, you're literally going to see a video, then an audio player, and then the blog article that goes with it, because we know that human beings like to learn in different ways. It's a piece of content, just 3 different ways to deliver it. That's how people should be thinking in 2021 and beyond.
Absolutely bang on. All right. Judy, do you want to add to that? Are you able to unmute yourself?
Yes. I'm just slow on the button. I love what George just said, because I was sitting here thinking, I'm not watching a video when I'm going on a car trip. I'm listening to a podcast. You have to think about the consumer's actions and what they're doing, so that way you deliver something that fits them. And I would add things like carousel posts that your slide deck through. So George, you've got your video, your text, your blog post, your audio, and then a slide deck of all the things that are happening that just went down in the whole thing, the whole post. There's so many pieces you can add. It's powerful.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. So my last question for the day, and then we will take a couple of questions from the questions tab before wrapping up today's session. The last question would be about the latest video marketing trends. It's a straightaway question from the registrants list. People want to know, almost 30 plus people ask me, what should we look for in 2021? Is there anything new that we're going to see? Is there any new trend that's going to land and surprise us? So any new trends for 2021 that you see? Christine, you want to start?
Sure. It's not exactly new, but I feel like a lot of trends that were already on the rise just accelerated like crazy in 2020. And one of those is short form video, kind of short, unpolished. We've of course seen TikTok. We've seen Instagram has Reels. Every freaking platform has stories now for some reason. LinkedIn has stories. Twitter has what are they even called? Yes. Fleets. Everyone's getting stories. It's a little crazy, but that's because there's been people are connecting with short ephemeral content or non-ephemeral content, things like Reels. I know Judy has actually done pretty well with TikTok, because that's the thing. People think of TikTok as being just silly dance videos, but marketers will always find a way, right? So I know a ton of marketers who are doing great stuff with TikTok and with Reels. And that, again, is just short, snackable. I think that short form is really kind of the rising trend, which doesn't mean you have to do it, by the way. Just got to point out, any trends that are happening doesn't mean you have to do it, but short form.
So I want to double down on this, because some of you may not know what's going on right now or have heard of it yet. You mentioned, Christine, every platform except for YouTube. So like paying attention to YouTube shorts and getting on the short shelf right now is somewhere that if you're like cutting edge, you might want to lean into that short form content on the YouTube platform as well.
Are there any restrictions for how to get on that? Just curious, because I know anyone can have it. Anyone. Okay, cool.
I know
Let's
15
do it.
seconds, 15 to 20 seconds they're saying is best. You can do up to a minute. It has to be vertical video, but other than that, just go in and play around with it. Because again, not that you should do this, but there are big YouTubers who are testing, like Mr. Beast is actually doing horizontal. That's not even a word, people. Horizontal.
That's a new word
now.
that's learned today.
I just made that. I'm going to put it in the dictionary today. Horizontal video, and testing that for the short shelf. But again, think 15 to 30 seconds, think vertical video, and think how can it tie in strategy to the YouTube channel that you already have as well.
Got it. Same thing. So I would add, people don't even realize some of the things that have already rolled out for 2021, like the ability to swipe up in a LinkedIn story. I love it. If you didn't know about that, now you do. So Christine,
Wow.
you didn't know about it?
No, I do not touch LinkedIn stories. I'm kind of opposed to LinkedIn stories, but I'll work on it.
You will let me play with LinkedIn stories.
I'll
so
look at yours, Judy.
I get to be the only circle at the top then of the stories, and you're scrolling across, you're like, Judy just keeps making stories. So love LinkedIn stories. I made a LinkedIn story of all of us on stage today. So there you go. Yeah.
And before I get it wrong, Judy, you said that there's going to be a swipe up button in the LinkedIn stories.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. You have to have 5,000 followers, and you have to make your button on LinkedIn, the primary button, you have to move it from connect to follow. That's the only way you can get it.
On your profile, or can pages do it?
So far, it's just on your profile that I know of. Ooh, I have to test my page.
Absolutely. So, Tyler, any last thoughts before we move to the questions tab? We have a couple of questions there. Do you want to add to that? All right.
Nope.
All right. Okay. So we will take a few questions. Let's see. Teles has a good question. He says, any recommendations for video SEO? I mean, I'm sorry, I don't know. Is there anything called video SEO? Because I honestly did not know about it. Can we discuss a bit about it then? Tyler, do you want to start?
Sure, I can. So SEO, for those who aren't familiar, search engine optimization, and the notion of how can we make sure as we're creating videos that they have the greatest chance of being presented to people when they are searching for related terms and information. So much like written copy that we're doing on things like our websites and other places to drive people back, videos can absolutely play a role in that. There's a few different ways in which your videos can impact your SEO strategy. One is videos you're putting out on your YouTube channel can ultimately rise to the top of the video search engine as people are typing. So if I'm searching for, best HubSpot resources, I'll see my websites list, and I might see Sprocket Talk's website come up there. Or if I click on the videos tab, I may see a video from George show up at the top of that list. So that's one way to make sure that your videos are floating at the top of search results. The other thing that we encourage people to think about is for some of the video content you're creating, if it makes sense for that to live on your owned and managed properties, so your websites and things like that, you should always have a best practice of transcribing the audio into text, and you can put that transcription in the metadata of the page so that Google can search it, can crawl it. And again, if somebody is searching for an item, they may be driven to that page where your video sits because it's being recognized as a great resource for that. So those are a couple things from my perspective. I don't know if others have other things they've seen.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in because I want to give Tyler and Vidyard a shout out. If you're using a video platform to put videos on your website, if they give you a place for a title, if they give you a place for a description, if they give you a place to put a alt text for your thumbnail that you're using, by all that is holy, fill out that information with keyword rich stuff, because it's going to be metadata that is brought into the page that Google then looks at the metadata of the video and looks at the SEO stuff, H1s, H2s, alt text of the actual page, can combine those together as like a 1-2 punch for your search engine optimization. So take time to fill those pieces out. The other piece of this too is strategy and research. Use a tool like TubeBuddy and actually use their SEO tool to see what people are actually searching for from a search perspective, instead of like making a video of like, 5 pot pies I cooked yesterday. Who gives a rip? Like, nobody cares about the 5 pot pies you cooked yesterday. But if you did like, Gordon's pot pies versus like Jimmy John's pot pies, boom, people are all over that junk because you're now targeting those 2 different companies and actual pot pies. So again, go back to strategy, go back to actually researching what people are searching around your industry or niche.
Thank you so much, George, for that. Let's quickly move to the next question. Francisco again asks, our organization provides membership benefits. What are the best ways to use videos to share those benefits? Anyone from the panelists want to answer that?
I would say trying to get people to submit user-generated content is going to do the best, because show actual members enjoying and using their benefits, actual member testimonials talking about the benefits to them, because it's one thing for you to say, here's benefits we want to make sure that you're aware of, but it's another thing entirely to show members benefiting from those benefits. They'll trust that a little bit more.
Right, Francisco, I hope you got your answer. Carol asks, what is a good free video software that someone can use as a beginner, create, edit, etc.? I mean, do you want to list out, name some tools and apps out there?
I will give a shout out to a free one. You can pay for a version that removes a watermark, but there's 2. You can use TikTok as a video editing software. It is actually, if you're going to film a day in your life, I know I actually have tons of videos that I have not uploaded to TikTok, but I used that video to put out as an Instagram story because it made the story really clippy. It's super short. I did a day in the life of a LinkedIn all-star. I'm just kidding. So the next thing is I like using InShot on my phone. I do have the paid version, but there is a free version. I think it puts a tiny little watermark in the corner. So
great. Thank you so much, Judy. All right. George, George, you want to add to that?
Yeah,
yes.
Depending on how nerdy you want to get, because that was kind of the mobile version. And by the way, I know they said free, but you may even want to do like slightly paid. So like LumaFusion, you could do on your iPad. It's like super cheap, an app you can download. But if you're doing it on your desktop, DaVinci Resolve is also free. And you can download it and do that with editing. Again, you got to be careful because you don't want to hit the deep end of the pool and not edit because you're like super confused and you got to take this learning curve. But I will tell you, for a lot of my down and dirty videos, just to get it done and get it out, I use Camtasia. It's super inexpensive, but it's way easy to use as far as like slicing and putting together, adding music, and we're out. So think about not only free, but like lightly paid versions of these different softwares that you might use as well.
Right, and the team at Designhill, they resort to InShot a lot of times, and Lumanu as well. So InShot is yet another app. All right, this actually brings us to the end of the session, and it's such a value-packed session. I mean, we're already ahead of time. We are already 10 minutes ahead of time, and we did not realize. I mean, we actually spent almost 70-80 minutes. So as hard as it is, but this is actually the end of the session. A very value-packed session it was, and there's a lot more that we could have discussed. Unfortunately, we are limited by time here. I hope you guys loved the session, all the attendees. Once again, I would like to thank our panelists for taking the time to be a part of this event. We would like to hear from each one of you. Any last thoughts? How did you like the event? How did it go? Did you enjoy? So we'll start with Judy quickly.
Yes, I want to be friends with Christine Gritman. She needs to figure out, I forget how to do the pop-up thing. So I am grateful to connect with everybody on LinkedIn or Instagram and Clubhouse, which is non-video, but I'm just going to put it out there. Great conversations happening over there. It's all video is about continuing the conversation, just like you're watching this video right now. The point is meeting each other finding out, oh, I'm interested in what Tyler's up to. I want to see what George is up to more. I want to see what Christine, I want to see what Designhill is up to more. You have to think about video as the next thing. It's carrying on the conversation.
Great. Christine.
Hi. Yes, so video, I put it in the comments before, but I'm going to say it again, because you know how sometimes you find yourself answering a question, you're like, oh, that sounded smart. I want to repeat that. Look at the video, look at the camera as someone who likes you and is rooting for you. Don't look at it as like a bajillion strangers online who are judging you. The camera's rooting for you, man. Anyone who's watching your video is choosing to watch your video. They want to get something out of it. They are not rooting for you to fail, because then they will have wasted their time. So the camera is on your side, you guys. So don't forget that and use it, because nothing connects with people like video. We're hardwired to be like, this is like a person who's a few feet from my face. It's how it feels. So enjoy that power.
Thank you so much, Christine. That invokes a lot of confidence in me. I'm a camera shy person, but I'm sure I'm gonna face camera a little more from now on.
It's
George, how did you
you.
like it? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. George, any last thoughts before we bid bye?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you want to connect on a business level, go to impulsecreative.com. If you want to connect on a personal level, go to georgebthomas.com. All the social links are there and all that good stuff. What I will implore you to do is simplify the complex. Focus on getting 1% better each and every day. And while you're doing that, remember to be a happy, helpful, humble human. And I'll be waiting you somewhere on the internet or in the next video or wherever we meet again.
Thank you so much. And last but not the least, Tyler. We loved having you, Tyler. Please, any last thoughts?
Thank you. I hate following George. So I just want to thank my fellow panelists. And in all honesty, I actually learned quite a bit from you guys, which is great. I think this idea of video on social is continuing to evolve. If you're not there today, don't feel like you're way behind the curve and you can't catch up. You know, there's lots of opportunity ahead of us. And don't be shy to borrow ideas from others. You know, follow brands, follow people, get yourself in there, find out what you like, what draws you in, and hey, learn from that. And you can take lots of cues from others, because if you like a style or an approach, a lot of other people likely do too. So stay connected, stay in there, generate lots of ideas, and just have at it.
Thank you so much, Tyler, for being here with us today. And thank you, everyone. All right, guys, this is not where it ends. We have a lot more events lined up for you in the coming days. So if you haven't registered yet, I'm putting the link of our event section in the chat where you can find all of our upcoming events. Please do not forget to register and attend. To stay updated with events like these, you can follow us on our LinkedIn page. And you can also give us suggestions on the topic you want us to cover and speakers you want us to host. My colleague Rashmi will be dropping the link of our LinkedIn page in chat section again. To watch this session and other such wonderful events, please go to our YouTube channel. The link will be in the chat box again for you all. For all the designers and artists who are listening to this and wish to be a part of this thriving design community, please visit designhill.com. Also, guys, we have recently launched some cool design challenges which are worth $5,000 per month. Any designer or non-designer can be a part of it and can create some awesome designs using our DIY design tool called Designhill Studio. Visit Designhill Studio/challenges and check more about it. You can find the link in the chat. On that note, I would like to say bye to everyone who joined us here today. Take care, guys, and stay safe.